The Nashville Number System. It's the P90X of chord charts. You hate it, but you love it. Over the years, Nashville session musicians have developed a method for notating chords and rhythms that's really well suited to country and pop music, and it's used in the studio there. It turns out it also works really well for modern worship music. I've come to prefer this system, known as the Nashville Number System, for me and for my worship teams. Now, it's based on a little bit of music theory, so it can be intimidating for your typical church musician that doesn't have a rigorous music theory background. But we've found it's pretty easy to learn and well worth the trouble. In fact, the members of our worship team who were most hesitant to get started with it a few years ago, now, if Jesus hadn't prohibited doing this, would swear by the Nashville Number System when they're on stage, and they complain when occasionally we get a chart that isn't written using the number system. Before we get into how the Nashville Number System works, here are 5 reasons why I like it so much. Number 1, it's key agnostic. If you need to change the key of a chart because you have a different singer from one week to another, you change literally one letter on the chart and everything else still works. Second, you can be in multiple keys at the same time. Now, that sounds weird. You probably wouldn't actually play in multiple keys at the same time, but if you've got a keyboard player playing an A, you may have a guitarist playing G shapes, capoed at 2. In the past, you'd have to give the keyboard player an A chart and the guitarist a G chart. You can give them one Nashville number chart because the chords are the same and they just make a note about which key they're effectively playing in. Number 3, Nashville number charts show the rhythm of the song. So instead of having to know the melody in detail to be able to figure out what the rhythm is from chords sitting above the words, the rhythm gets notated directly on a Nashville chart. So you know, this chord gets 1 bar, this chord gets half a bar, and everybody can make changes at the same time. Immediately makes a band tighter. Number 4, the structure of the song shows up on a Nashville chart. So we know how many times we're repeating something, what order we're doing them in, and it becomes much easier for everyone to remember and follow. And when there's a repetitive structure to a song, it makes it immediately clear so people can memorize it faster and get out of their music. Finally, number 5, the Nashville Number System improves how musicians think about music and how chords work. They start hearing the function the different chords are doing. They'll be able to begin transcribing music that they hear off the radio. They'll just be able to improvise better as they understand how it works and can expect what's going next. We've found the last few years of Nashville Number System on our team have seriously leveled up the musicianship of everybody on the team, including people who were pretty uncomfortable with it when we first got started. Okay, so how does the Nashville Number System work? It's based on the major scale. Here's a C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then it'll go back around to C. It's just the white keys on a piano. The Nashville Number System is based on the chords made by the major scale. So if we take the notes in the major scale and we build what are called triads, where every other note gets stacked into groups of 3. So we're going to put the E on top of the C, and then we'll put the G on top of that, and that gets us a C chord. We'll do the same thing all the way across the notes in the scale. D gets F, and then A on top of it, E, G, B, F, A, C, we're just wrapping around, G, B, D, A, C, E, and B, D, F. Now, these sets of 3 notes make chords. The first one is a C major chord. Then we have a D minor chord, an E minor chord, F major, G major, A minor, and finally B diminished. In the Nashville Number System, we'll replace the chord letters with the numbers that are their position in the scale. So I'll write 1 through 7. And then we need to note what kind of chord it is. If it's major, it's just going to be the number. If it's minor, we'll put a dash, like think minus is like minor. And then if it's diminished, which honestly doesn't happen very much in worship music, but there's a diminished chord in every key. If it's diminished, it's a degree sign. Think diminished degree. So those are the chords for the key of C in the Nashville Number System. Now, let's look at what the chords are in another key. We'll take the key of D. I'm going to skip building the triads and just tell you what the chords are in the key of D. If I wrote out the Nashville number equivalents for those, it would be 1, 2 minus, 3 minus, 4, 5, 6 minus, and 7 with the degree symbol for diminished. Notice it's exactly the same as in the key of C. And it's exactly the same as the key of G, or A, or B, or literally any other key. And this is a big part of the power of the Nashville Number System. No matter what key we're in, the chords are the same, so we can just say what key we're in, and then the chords work. Okay, now that you know how to recognize the most common chords in a Nashville number chart, let's look at how rhythm gets notated. First off, we do have to talk about a little bit of music theory. In Western music, songs have what's called a time signature, something like 4/4. This tells you how many beats are in a bar and what kind of note gets the beat. So 4/4 means every bar has 4 notes and the quarter note gets the beat. This is probably the most common time signature in worship music. Another common time signature in worship music is 6/8. The 8 on the bottom means that the 8th note is going to get the beat, and the 6 on the top means there's going to be 6 of them in a bar. So that's going to be counted 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 4/4, the one we're used to hearing, gets counted 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's beats and bars in time signatures. Let's look at how the time signature and the rhythm show up with the chords on an actual Nashville number chart. This is the chart for the song Make Room from Community Music. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Music, not worship.
I think it's community music.
Okay.
Yeah, community music.
Okay. This is the chart for the song Make Room from Community Music. It's in 4/4, so you can see the 4/4 time signature there. You'll also see key of G, so that's that circled G, and we can see the tempo is 65 quarter notes per minute. So that tells you how fast to play. When you see a chord number by itself in a number chart, that means it gets a whole bar. So this one starts with the 1 chord, and the 1 chord gets a whole bar, 4 beats. We're in the key of G, so that's going to be a G chord for 4 beats. Then it's going to switch to the 5 chord, which is D, for 4 beats. Then the 2 minor chord, A minor, for 4 beats. And finally, the 4 chord, which is C, for 4 beats. And as you can see, it's going to repeat that over and over again for the entire song. So you put this Nashville chart in front of your team, they should be able to memorize the chords and rhythm for the song really quickly, which is great because now they can get their head out of their music and be more engaged in what's going on stage and ultimately the worship that's happening in the room. In Make Room, every chord got a full bar. In Belong to You by Iron Bell Music, the bars get split with 2 beats of 1 chord and 2 beats of another chord. Let's look at the Nashville number chart for that. In this one, the 2 chords in the first bar, the 6 chord, it's actually a 6 minor 7, and the 4 chord, or a 4/2, it's a 4 with an extra 2 in it, key of A, so we're looking at an F sharp minor 7 and a D add 2. Notice that they are together and underlined. The underline indicates the full bar, and the 2 chords together, underlined, split the bar. So they're going to get 2 beats each. And then in the next bar, the 1 chord, A, is going to get the full bar, and then we're going to repeat that pattern. Sometimes chords split a bar unevenly instead of getting half the bar or the whole bar. In this case, we'll note how many beats each chord gets with tick marks over that chord, and we'll usually leave out the tick mark for whatever the last chord is in the bar because it's going to get whatever's left. So let's look at the chart for the Passion song, My Heart Is Yours. If you look at the intro, the first chord, the 4 chord, gets 3 beats, and then the 1/3 there gets 1 beat. Now, this is the first time we've seen something over something. The 1/3 is what's called an inversion. It's actually the 1 chord, but the 1 chord here in the key of B would normally be played with a B as the low note, and then a D sharp as the 3rd, and then an F sharp as the 5th. The 1/3 indicates that the 3, the D sharp, should be in the bass. Now, if you're just an acoustic guitarist, that probably doesn't matter to you. You can just play the B chord, or more likely the G chord capoed at 4. But if you're the keyboard player or the bass player and you're playing the lowest note in the band at the time, you're going to want to make sure that's a D sharp. In the second bar, you can see the same rhythm pattern, where the 5 chord is getting 3 beats, and then that 6 minor 7 chord is getting 1. But in the next bar, there's no tick marks. So the 4 and the 6 minor split the bar with 2 beats each. This chart shows a handful of other notations that show up all over the place. If you look on the left side, you can see the letters in the boxes. Those indicate the different parts of the song. There's an intro, a verse, a chorus, another verse. You can see on the verse there's some repeat signs. We're going to sing that first verse twice. And so this pair of repeat signs here says to do what's inside those twice. Occasionally you'll see just the second repeat sign, the right repeat sign. If you don't see the left one, it's telling you to go back to the beginning of the song. And this will happen when you play an intro and a verse, and then you go back to the top, and the intro functions as a turnaround into a repeat of the verse. The other thing you may see on here is towards the end of the chorus, there is a chord in a box. Now, a box is the same as an underline. It just indicates a bar. But when there's some particularly unusual or tricky rhythm, we'll put it in a box to separate it from everything around it. In this case, the thing that's tricky about it is that while we're in 4/4, this is a 2/4 bar. And this happens in worship songs fairly often, where 2 beats will get added or dropped from what you might expect in a section in a song. In this case, instead of playing a full bar of 4 beats of the 6 minor chord, we're actually going to play just 2 beats. Another symbol that you don't see in this view, but you might see, especially at the end of a song, is a diamond around a chord. So let me add a diamond around this 5 chord here. If you saw that, it would indicate that you're not supposed to play that 5 chord through the entire bar. You're supposed to hit it once at the beginning and sustain it. So instead of strum, 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 you just go strum, 2, 3, 4, and let it sustain. If you saw 2 diamonds and they were tied together like that, it'd be the same thing but across 2 bars. You'd hit it once and you'd let it sit for the full 8 beats across those 2 bars. There are a handful of other symbols that you'll see in Nashville number charts. Some of those are less common things. Others are just different people's ways of writing the same things. This is a kind of folk tradition, so different bands, different transcribers write things differently. So if you see something you don't recognize in the number chart, ask your band leader or a more experienced musician who's familiar with the number system, and they can explain what it means, and if it's something new or if it's just a different way of writing something you know already. Okay, so you want to get started, or your band leader's making you get started. Either way, how you do it is the same. The first step is to write out the notes in all the different keys, or at least start with the ones that you use most frequently. So you'll write out C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and keep doing that through all the keys that you play through. In the description, we'll link to a table of all the notes in all the keys, but you're much more likely to remember it if you write out your own. Second, take one of the number charts that we link to in the description and go through it and write the letters by each of the numbers. I recommend doing this in a pencil and doing it lightly. So you write it out, you play through the song, then go back through and delete or erase several of those chords. Like erase half the one chords and then play through the song again, and you're training your brain what the one chord is in that key. Then delete or erase all the one chords. Then maybe all the four chords, and keep going until you're back to just the numbers. Then change the key of the song or put on a capo if you're playing guitar and do the whole thing again. And just get reps on going through charts, converting in your head between the numbers and the letters and back. Next level of practice, take a song that you know already that you don't have a number chart for and write the number chart. You can do this by converting an existing regular chord chart into the number system, or if you want to go real advanced, you can try to transcribe a simple song that you're familiar with and write it out in numbers. I hope you found this useful. If you did, share it with your musician friends, like, comment, subscribe. We'll have more videos coming soon.